Okay, so here's something wild. Studies show that the average person encounters manipulation tactics at least 11 times per week, and they don't even realize it's happening.
11 times, Max. That's not just at work or in toxic relationships. We're talking friends, family, even that person at the coffee shop.
Wait, the barista is manipulating me?
Maybe not the barista, but someone definitely is. And here's the scary part. 99% of people can't identify these tactics until the damage is already done.
So what you're saying is I could be getting paid right now and have no clue.
Exactly. But stick around because by the end of this episode, you'll know the 5 manipulation tactics that hide in plain sight, and more importantly, how to shut them down before they mess with your head. Hey everyone, I'm Zoe, and I've spent the last 8 years studying behavioral psychology and working with people who've escaped manipulative relationships.
And I'm Max. I'm the guy who thought I was too smart to get manipulated until I wasn't. So now I ask the hard questions.
Love that energy. Oh, here's what we're covering today. First, the guilt trip tactic that makes you feel like the bad guy even when you're not. Second, the gaslighting move that's so subtle you'll question your own memory. And third, a manipulation strategy so common that you've probably used it yourself without realizing.
Wait, I've manipulated people?
We all have, Max. That's what makes this so important.
Okay, now I'm uncomfortable and intrigued.
Perfect. Before we dive in, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button right now. We drop episodes like this every single week, and trust me, what we're covering next month about narcissistic tactics, you're going to want to see that. Also, smash the like button because it genuinely helps us reach more people who need this information.
And fair warning, in Chapter 4, Zoe's going to share a story about her own experience with manipulation that honestly shocked me when I first heard it.
All right, let's get into it.
Chapter 1, The Guilt Bomb. Zoe, what exactly is a guilt bomb?
It's when someone makes you feel responsible for their emotions or problems, even though you didn't cause them. Classic example. I guess I'll just stay home alone while you go out with your friends.
Oh no, I've heard that one. Actually, I think I've said that one.
See? That's the thing. It sounds innocent, maybe even vulnerable, but what it really does is transfer responsibility. Suddenly, you're the bad guy for having a social life.
So, how do you spot it?
Listen for phrases that start with, I guess, or it's fine, but. Those are red flags. Also, pay attention to how you feel after the conversation. If you suddenly feel guilty about something you were excited about 2 minutes ago, that's your signal.
Wait, so guilt isn't always a reliable emotion?
Not at all. Healthy guilt happens when you've actually done something wrong. Manipulative guilt is manufactured. Someone else is installing it in you.
That's kind of terrifying.
It gets worse. Because here's what most people don't realize about guilt manipulation.
Chapter 2, The Sympathy Shield. Okay, I'm already nervous about this one.
You should be. The sympathy shield is when someone uses their pain or struggles as a weapon to avoid accountability.
Give me an example because that sounds harsh.
All right. Imagine you confront a friend about them constantly canceling plans. Instead of apologizing or explaining, they immediately respond with, well, my anxiety has been really bad lately, but I guess you wouldn't understand.
Ouch! So now if I push back, I'm the insensitive jerk who doesn't care about mental health.
Exactly. They've created a shield. Your valid concern gets deflected and somehow you end up comforting them instead of getting an apology.
How is this different from someone genuinely struggling?
Great question. Someone who's genuinely struggling will acknowledge your feelings too. They'll say something like, I'm really sorry I keep canceling. My anxiety has been rough and I'm working on it. See the difference?
One takes responsibility, the other just redirects.
Bingo. And here's a personal story. I had a roommate in college who used this tactic constantly. Every time I asked her to do her share of chores, she'd bring up her depression. And look, her depression was real, but so was the moldy sink.
So what did you do?
I had to learn to separate compassion from compliance. I could be empathetic about her struggles while still holding boundaries. I started saying things like, I hear that you're struggling and I want to support you, and we still need to figure out the dishes.
That's actually really powerful.
It changed everything. But wait until you hear about the tactic in Chapter 3. This one's so sneaky that most people defend the manipulator.
Chapter 3, The Confusion Strategy. All right, Zoe, why would someone want to confuse me?
Because confused people are easier to control. When you're not sure what's real, you stop trusting yourself and start depending on the manipulator to define reality.
That sounds like gaslighting.
It's gaslighting's clever cousin. Here's how it works. Someone will give you mixed messages constantly. Monday, they say they want to spend more time together. Wednesday, they say you're too clingy. Friday, they're upset you're not reaching out enough.
So you can never win.
You can't win because the rules keep changing. And here's the insidious part. You start believing you're the problem. You think, if I could just figure out what they want, everything would be fine.
But you can't figure it out because there's no consistent answer.
Exactly. I watched my sister go through this with her ex. He'd criticize her for being too emotional, then criticize her for being too cold. She spent 2 years trying to be the right version of herself.
What made her finally see it?
Her therapist asked her one simple question. Can you describe what he actually wants? And she couldn't. She had pages of contradictory examples, but no clear answer. That's when it clicked.
So the solution is recognizing the pattern.
Recognition is step 1. Step 2 is refusing to play the game. When someone gives you contradictory feedback, call it out. Say, last week you said X, now you're saying Y. I need clarity here.
And if they can't give you clarity,
then you have your answer. But here's what blew my mind. The next tactic we're covering is actually considered socially acceptable in most situations.
Chapter 4, the favor debt. This one makes me uncomfortable already.
Good, because we've all done this one. The favor debt is when someone does something nice for you without you asking, then holds it over your head later.
Wait, so if I help someone move and then expect them to help me move, that's manipulation?
No, that's a reasonable expectation if it was discussed. The manipulation happens when it's weaponized. Like, I drove you to the airport that one time, so you can't be mad that I borrowed your car without asking.
Oh, that's completely different.
Right, and it's everywhere. Parents do it. After everything I've done for you, you won't even call me once a week. Bosses do it. I gave you that raise, so I expect you to work weekends now.
How do you handle this without seeming ungrateful?
You separate gratitude from obligation. You can be grateful for past kindness without accepting unreasonable demands now. Try saying, I really appreciated your help back then, and I'm happy to support you in reasonable ways. But this specific request doesn't work for me. No!
That feels risky.
It is risky. But here's what I learned the hard way. I had a friend who paid for dinner a few times when I was broke in my 20s. Super kind gesture. But then for years, anytime I disagreed with her about anything, she'd bring up how she supported me when I had nothing.
That's not friendship, that's an investment with interest.
Exactly. Real generosity doesn't come with strings attached. It took me way too long to realize I didn't owe her my entire personality just because she bought me some meals.
So what happened?
I finally told her, I'm grateful for what you did, and it doesn't mean you get to beat on my life choices. She didn't take it well, and honestly, the friendship ended. But I got my self-respect back.
That's brutal, but necessary.
Sometimes it is. Now, the final tactic we're covering, this one's the most dangerous because it targets your deepest insecurities.
Chapter 5, the identity attack. Zoe, this sounds heavy.
It is. The identity attack is when someone undermines your sense of self by repeatedly questioning your judgment, intelligence, or worth.
Like telling someone they're stupid?
It's usually more subtle. Things like, are you sure you want to wear that? You know how you get self-conscious? Or, maybe you shouldn't apply for that job. You tend to overestimate your abilities.
Oh wow, those sound almost caring.
That's the trap. They're framed as concern, but what they're really doing is planting seeds of doubt. Do this enough times, and the person starts to believe they can't trust their own decisions.
How do you fight back against this?
You have to actively rebuild your self-trust. Start documenting your successes, even small ones. When someone questions your judgment, ask yourself, what's the evidence? Not their opinion, the actual evidence.
That seems like a lot of work just to deal with one person.
It is, which is why the better solution is often to remove that person from your life. Look, I'm all for working through issues, but if someone consistently makes you doubt yourself, that's not a relationship worth saving.
What if it's a family member or coworker you can't avoid?
Then you build a mental firewall. Their opinions don't get access to your inner dialogue. Easier said than done, I know, but it's essential. And here's the thing, people who use identity attacks are usually projecting their own insecurities.
That actually makes me feel bad for them?
You can have compassion and boundaries. They're not mutually exclusive. But speaking of boundaries, let's talk about how to protect yourself from all of these tactics.
Chapter 6, your manipulation defense system. Okay, Zoe, how do we actually defend against all of this?
First rule, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't talk yourself out of your instincts.
But what if I'm just being paranoid?
Then you evaluate the pattern, not the incident. One weird interaction might be a misunderstanding. 10 weird interactions following the same pattern, that's manipulation.
So pattern recognition is key.
Absolutely. Second rule, establish clear boundaries and enforce them consistently. Manipulators thrive in ambiguity. The clearer you are, the less room they have to operate.
What's an example of a clear boundary?
I don't lend money to friends. I need 24 hours notice before committing to plans. I don't discuss my relationships with people who gossip. Clear, specific, non-negotiable.
Then when they push back,
You repeat the boundary without justifying it. I understand you'd like me to make an exception, and my boundary stands. No is a complete sentence.
this feels like it would make me unpopular.
With manipulators? Absolutely. With healthy people? Not at all. Healthy people respect boundaries. That's actually how you can tell them apart.
Mind blown.
Third rule, build a support system of people who don't use these tactics. When you're surrounded by healthy relationships, manipulative ones become way more obvious by contrast.
That's actually really smart.
And finally, educate yourself. The more you understand these tactics, the faster you'll spot them. That's literally why we made this episode. All right, let's recap what we covered today. First, the guilt bond that makes you feel responsible for other people's emotions. Second, the sympathy shield that deflects accountability with victimhood. Third, the confusion strategy that keeps you off balance and doubting yourself.
Fourth, the favor debt that turns kindness into currency. And fifth, the identity attack that slowly erodes your self-trust.
The common thread through all of these, they work because they exploit our desire to be good people. Manipulators know that empathetic, conscientious people are easier targets.
So being a good person makes you vulnerable?
Only if you don't have boundaries. You can be kind and strong, compassionate and self-protective. Those are contradictions.
I feel like this conversation just rewired my brain.
Good. That means you're paying attention. Now, here's what we need from you. If this episode helped you recognize something you've been dealing with, hit that like button right now. Seriously, it helps us reach more people who need to hear this.
And subscribe. We've got an episode coming next week about how to recover after leaving a manipulative relationship, and you're not going to want to miss it.
Also, share this with someone who needs it. Maybe that friend who's always apologizing for things that aren't their fault, or that family member who can't seem to escape toxic patterns.
And drop a comment telling us which of these 5 tactics hit closest to home. We read every comment, and your stories help other people feel less alone.
Remember, recognizing manipulation isn't about becoming cynical or suspicious of everyone. It's about protecting your peace and investing your energy in people who actually deserve it.
Your well-being matters. Your boundaries matter. And you're not crazy for thinking something feels off.
Trust yourself. We'll see you next week.
Stay sharp out there.